in at number 10, we have the brothel. Legend has it that nearby the Mystery Nevada site, there is an alien-themed brothel. Now this is next to an Area 51 alien travel center and a themed diner. Dinner and snacks. Now it turns out that actually this is true, but what goes on in the brothel, well, that is the stuff of legends. I've been browsing the Yelp reviews and they are pretty fruity. One reads, "She showed us to the lounge and bar and then took us to the shower room. It was a large tiled room with multiple shower heads where she proceeded to say that they hold their wet and wild parties and orgies in there. It was so blasé for her to utter those things." Next up there was the alien probe room. There was a lot of weird stuff on the walls and displayed ever so lovingly on the bed. There were things like whips, probes, ropes, etc. Blimey, the alien probe room. One can only imagine, although I'd like to stop imagining now and move on to number 9.
And at number 9 we have University Women's Club. And guys, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because you know what, it really helps us out, so thank you. This is a female-only club that was founded in 1888 London. It was a space for women to come to just relax and unwind, not having to worry about their household duties or whatever. It was also a professional space where business meetings would take place. This club also offered 22 bedrooms so that you could stay if need be, and 2 big event rooms should you ever need to rent them out for private parties or whatever. This place was open for all women of all ages. Just no men. Moving on to number 8, we have the International Club of Paris. The Women's International Club of Paris, or Le WIC de Paris, was a club open to any and all women. Its goal is to get women of all different nationalities living in or around Paris to join this club and share their culture with others in the group. The group does things such as film screenings, book clubs, and would do activities like gymnastics and learn other languages. This club is pretty big. They have 252 members from 52 different countries. Again, there's no men allowed in this club. It's strictly women coming together to learn more about each other and form connections. They also say that the space is non-political and non-religious. They just want everyone to get together as one. Moving on to number 7, we have Noiva de Cordeiro. This is a remote Brazilian village that is home to 600 women. Now this village is interesting for a number of reasons. Number 1, most of the women living there are 20 to 35 years old, like that's pretty young. On top of that, they are known to be all stunningly beautiful. Now this village is a bit different than the other places on this list. Men are allowed to visit, but typically they don't live there. But the only time they can visit is on the weekends. They're forced to work away from home and that's the only time that they have to visit. But most of the women that live there run the show. They work in the field and manage all the village's finances. They're like the bosses. Coming in at number 6, we have New Woman Space. Founded by Wong and Sandra Hong, New Woman Space, located in Brooklyn, is a place where women can come together as one. It's located in Williamsburg and is specifically for entrepreneurs or those looking to collaborate with other women. At this location, they have book club meetings and yoga classes. The founder Wong says, and I quote, "Our location means there is no shortage of women submitting new ideas for classes and workshops who want to host events in every realm you can think of, and those who have found comfort and strength in knowing there is a community space for them." We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with the female-only parties. This next city, located in Colombia, is famous for having a men's curfew night. Basically, after a certain time at night, men are banned from leaving their homes. Literally banned. Like, you could be fined for breaking this rule. Meanwhile, the women are free to roam the streets. On these nights, there are women-only concerts, film shows, and parties. Fire and police stations are taken over by female-only crews. It's a time for women to just, let loose and have fun. According to the mayor who created this idea, he said these female-only nights will reclaim public space for the women of Bogota and help men to get to know their homes. Moving on at number 4, we have the sorority. And no, I'm not talking about like a college or university sorority here. The sorority is a club only for women. It's described as an online network for professional women who want to collaborate and inspire others. Most of the meetings take place online. But if you live in London, some members meet regularly at different venues in London. Apparently, there are a couple members of royalty in this club. Now, if you are a female and this interests you and maybe you want to join the club, Too bad, too sad. You can only get in by invitation only, so it's a pretty secretive club. On top of that, you have to fill out their pledge, which seems a little culty to me. But anyway, it seems like they want only the elite of the elite to be a part of this club. In our third spot, we have the Secret Society. Back in the 1840s, women were caught for having a number of different secret societies in New York. These societies were legit top secret. They didn't want men finding out about them at all. But this plan failed. In 1847, 4 of these secret societies were caught. Back then, it was a pretty big deal. Now, there's not much out there on these societies, like what went down, since it was so long ago. But apparently the government tried to break them up if they heard about them. When 4 clubs got exposed, they realized just how big they were. One society had 2,000 members. Like, that's insane. But yeah, with the amount of members, word was bound to get out sooner or later. In our second spot, we have Woman's Land. Now, this community spells its name Womans, as in W-O-M-Y-N-S, instead of M-A-N-S, because they literally want nothing to do with men. No man in the name, no man ever allowed in the community. Now, this community was fairly large. It started as a social movement in the 1970s in the US, Australia, New Zealand, and Western Europe. Basically, it was a group of women that wanted to escape the patriarchal society, so they decided to make their own community. Many of them still exist today. Back then, these women lived in the woods on private land. And honestly, a lot of people didn't know they existed. Some were meant specifically for women that identified as lesbian, others were for women traveling across countries alone and needed a safe place to stay. Nowadays, there are still a few of these communities left. These women live in small cabins or shacks. The only issue is that these women are getting older and need a new generation of younger women to come and keep these communities alive. But not a lot of younger women are interested in this. And in our number 1 spot, we have Supersea Island. Located off the coast of the Baltic Sea, the Supersea Island is a secret vacation destination for only women. It's owned by a woman named Christina Roth. She first discovered this island while on vacation in Finland. From there, she purchased it and spent months doing massive renovations. Now the island has 4 renovated cabins that can hold up to 10 women. The whole purpose of this island is to look after the wellness of the female mind, bodies, and souls. While on the island, you can partake in a number of activities including yoga, meditation, kayaking, and hiking. Now, don't be fooled. It's not like you can just book a trip there and you're all set. No, you actually need to fill out an application. On the form, you have to write to Christina why you want to go to the island. And she is specifically looking for people that aren't just writing BS, but like actually truly want to go to the island to better themselves.
Number 10. Poveglia Island. This place has centuries of horrible history. Like, this place is probably scarier than my bank statement. Poveglia Island is off the coast of Italy, and during the bubonic plague, it was where they would send sick people to die. If you don't know what the bubonic plague is, it wiped out 25 million people. It makes an E. coli outbreak seem like a bad hangover. They would do this to quarantine the sick, and the island would get so populated with people that eventually they would burn the dead bodies or those who were close to dead. It's believed that over 100,000 people have died on this island, so that's probably enough. But wait, there's more! In the early 20th century, they built an insane asylum on the island. I'm assuming they did this so that the ghosts from the plague could finally have some people to talk to. But this wasn't a place where people would go to get treated, it was more a place they would send them to exile them from the rest of humanity. There's even rumors that one of the head psychiatrists working on the island was performing all sorts of twisted experiments on his patients. That's until he killed himself by jumping off the bell tower. The island is now shut down and entry is forbidden. Many locals think that the island is cursed. I would have to say that killing hundreds of thousands of people and experimenting on innocent souls is a good way to get a curse going.
In our 9th spot, we have 2207 Seymour Avenue. And if you guys are liking this video so far, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up. 2207 Seymour Avenue, located in Cleveland, Ohio, is a home where a horrific crime took place. From 2002 to 2004, Ariel Castro kidnapped 3 young women. Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Georgina de Jesus. He kept them captive in his home until 2013 when Amanda Berry escaped with her daughter and contacted the police. The police came to his house and rescued the other women. Castro was arrested within hours. He was sentenced to life plus 1,000 years in prison without parole. Due to the disturbing crimes that took place at his home, Google Maps decided to blur his house. In fact, the house has been named the House of Horrors. But a couple years back, his house was demolished to help the victims move on from their traumatizing past. Coming in at number 8, we have the French nuclear facility. The Arriva-La Hague nuclear fuel reprocessing facility in France is another place that is blurred out on Google Maps. This facility opened in 1976 and is responsible for treating nuclear fuel from several countries. Here's the thing though, this facility hasn't always been blurred out. By using the Google Earth History tab, you can see old Google Earth images of this facility. So now, why all of a sudden is it blurred out? What is going on there? Well, it may have something to do with the controversy it has received and the backlash it received from Greenpeace. Since 1997, Greenpeace has been trying to shut it down, saying that they dump 1 million liters of liquid radioactive waste per day in the ocean. That is severely messed up if that's true. Maybe that's why it's blurred out, so that people don't see what they're really up to with their nuclear waste. Moving on to number 7, we have the French prison. There are a number of prisons that are blurred out on Google Earth, including the Beaumet prison in Marseille. Now, why do they blur out images of prisons? Well, a couple of reasons. One, for privacy. But the main reason is so that the criminals don't know the layout of the prison. Basically, this prison wasn't always blurred. Following a successful jailbreak, France's Minister of Justice was like, why are there aerial images of this prison available online? And then that led to the prison getting blurred. But of course, you can still find older images of the prison on Google Maps that show what it looks like and its layout. In our 6th spot, we have the Antarctic Ice Shield. This is another pretty strange place to get blurred. But basically, halfway between Australia and Madagascar, there is a 22-kilometer long blur in the middle of the Antarctic Ice Shield. I mean, this place is one of the most isolated places on Earth. There's nothing but ice and penguins there. So why is it being blurred out? We don't know for sure, but people think that there is something hidden there that we're not allowed to see. Although it's thought to be owned by Australia, theory goes that Russia or the US have built a research facility there. The only way we'll know for sure is by visiting the place itself. So who's coming with me for this field trip? It'll be a lot of fun. Come on, just pack a snowsuit and lots of hot packs. We're now at our 5th and halfway mark with Moroa Island. Located in French Polynesia, this island was first used for nuclear testing in 1966 by France. These tests apparently took place until 1996. That's when the French president shut down the facility. Why? Well, Greenpeace found out that these tests were polluting the water as far as Peru and New Zealand. In fact, many locals in Tahiti have claimed they have been affected by the radiation from the tests. Nowadays, the island is off limit to visitors and is guarded by French forces, which is probably why half of the island is blurred on Google Maps. Or maybe it's because they're still doing these nuclear tests. We may never know. Moving on at number 4, we have Elmira Correctional Facility. Elmira Correctional Facility, also known as The Hills, is a maximum security state prison in New York. This is another facility blurred on Google Earth. Why? Well, a number of reasons. 1, they have fears of an aerial attack. Number 2, they have fears that someone will use this information to plan an escape. And number 3, the prison is highly secure. Why would they want images of the building online for everyone to see? But it turns out that this location got blurred after a number of riots and mass escapes. Moving on at number 3, we have North Korea. Okay, is it even shocking that North Korea has sections of its country blurred? I mean, they are so secretive, so this isn't a surprise at all. Now, the area that is blurred is along the country's western shore. So people have thought that they are hiding something there, maybe a secret military project. Who knows? I mean, hey, the country is hiding so many things. Like I said, this one doesn't really come as a surprise. In our 2nd spot, we have Pateo de los Naranjos. Located in Spain, this place translates to Orange Tree Yard, and it is completely censored on Google Maps. no matter how close you try to zoom in on the map or the area close by, you won't be able to see anything. Why? Well, there's a lot of government buildings located there, so it's blurred out for security and privacy reasons, which makes sense. Many government or military buildings are blurred out on Google Maps for similar reasons. And in our number one spot today, we have Jeannette Island. Located in Russia, this island is said to contain a secret Russian military base. If you type this island into Google, you'll find a whole lot of nothing. Legit, it just looks like a bunch of water. It's not even registered on Google Maps as an island. When you type in its coordinates, you will see a message that says this island is unavailable. Now, before it was removed from the maps altogether, it wasn't even blurred out. It was actually blacked out. Like there was a full-on black mass just covering it. But when you zoomed in, you could see this icy mass, and that's all. According to Reddit user Exoplanetary Science, he said, and I quote, "Google rarely blacks out without reason. A search through Google Earth shows that this has been permanently blurred out, even in images dating back to the 1980s. I'm going to guess there's a concealed Russian military base located there, and possibly quite a substantial one. So, there you have it, folks. Secret Russian military base."
Number 10. The abandoned coal washing plant. So let's head right over to good old France. This place is pretty self-explanatory. It's an old building where they used to wash coal, but now it's abandoned. Oh. The massive factory was a major hub for supplying some parts of Europe with clean coal. By clean I mean usable. I don't mean like good for the environment or gonna stop the Arctic from melting. But there was a massive fire there destroying the entire thing. Now it's a giant skeleton of a building. Like a nude building. Might have to pixelate some of the pictures we used to show you to make it safe for YouTube. It's like a celebrity nip slip of buildings. Now if you go to visit this place, a couple things will happen. Your lungs will take a beating. All the dirty coal got burnt up in the fire and soaked into the standing metal structure. The air quality in there is garbage. You'd be better off chain smoking in downtown LA as an 18-wheeler blows exhaust right into your mug. And number 2, this old burnt down metal shell of a factory is super dangerous. There's no safety code for a broken down building. One wrong step and you're gonna fall down some shaft and everyone's gonna leave you there because it was your dumb fault for walking around an abandoned coal washing plant.
In our number 9 spot today we have Haji Ali Dargah. This landmark is a mosque and dargah and was constructed in 1431. For a while there was a ban placed on women being there before an arrangement was made which allowed women into the landmark, but the inner sanctum sanctorium was still off limits unless of course you're a man. This restriction was said to be due to Islam and the fact that it is considered a sin for a woman to be in close proximity of the grave of a Muslim saint. Or at least that's what the internet told me was the reason. This is another place that has seen many protests about the ban, and there have even been petitions circling to have the rule changed, but this is one of the times it actually worked. In 2016, the Supreme Court ruled that they would allow women the equal right to pray, and they began being allowed in all of the same areas, which of course was a huge win. In our number 8 spot today we have Mount Omine. This mountain is the home of the Yamabushi monks and is famous for its 3 tests of courage. The ban on women was placed in order to help remove thoughts of temptation from the monks as they practiced their strict lifestyle. This one is slightly different from some of the others on this list, however, as there have been many females who have still gone here with no trespassing charges ever placed or really much outcry at all. They refer to the ban as a more voluntary situation. Both the temple and the local community call it a request rather than a rule or a law, and the request is in order to respect their tradition, as well as, of course, like I mentioned before, to help them. As much as I really don't like being banned from a place, I feel like this is a more reasonable way to do it if we have to, but maybe that's because I don't live in Japan where this rule directly affects me, so let me know in the comments down below what you think about these kinds of bans. In our number 7 spot today we have Okinoshima, this Japanese sacred island which is the home to the 17th century shrine of Okitsu. This island only has a population of 1, which is the single employee of the shrine. He is one of 24 priests who spend 10-day intervals on the island to pray and protect it from intruders. The rules state that only men can travel to and worship at the island's shrines. The men will strip naked and perform a cleansing ritual before they enter the island, and they honor the sailors who passed away in a naval battle near the island during the 1904-1905 Russo-Japanese War. It isn't exactly clear why women are banned from this island, but it has something to do with Shinto traditions. In our number 6 spot today, we have the Galaxy Water Park. This water park located in Germany has a ban on women that I simply cannot wrap my head around. While women aren't banned from the water park entirely, they are banned from the park's highest speed water slide. This ban came after the owner of the park determined that the water slide was causing what is being called intimate injuries, and apparently this only happens to women. Apparently the slide can hit speeds up to 45 miles per hour, and apparently 6 women complained of suffering injuries. I really am not sure the details surrounding whatever is going on here, but to be fair, I'm not exactly sure if I would like to know either. But according to a gynecological association, other than pregnancy, there shouldn't be any sort of medical condition that would prevent a woman from going on a water slide. When I started making this list, this really wasn't the type of thing that I imagined including, because I never thought that this strange ban would even exist, but here we are. In our number 5 spot today, we have Bohemian Grove. Bohemian Grove is a privately owned campsite in Monterey in California and is the home to the wealthy and exclusive Bohemian Club. It comes as no surprise that this club is only for men, despite the few dire attempts at including women. Every year there is a 2-week-long retreat that the club hosts on the private grounds, and while there have been 4 women who have been invited to the club as honorary members, the women are never invited to the Grove. Because of this weird ban and just the entire super strange nature of the whole ordeal, both the club and the Grove are part of many conspiracy theories. There has been no shortage of outsiders trying to sneak into the Grove to see what the heck is going on there and to get to the bottom of what this secretive club is really hiding. To be honest, there's definitely something sketchy going on with this whole thing because it really just does give off the weirdest vibes. In our number 4 spot today, we have Lord Kartikeya Temple. This temple is located in India and was built in honor of course, Lord Kartikeya, who is the Hindu god of war. More specifically, the temple is paying homage to the celibate form of the Hindu deity. I guess with this knowledge, and also based on what video this is, you can guess what's going to come next. Women aren't allowed here. As this is a temple, it is of course for religious reasons, which are said to be why the rule came into place, but there's also a myth associated with this one. According to the myth, any woman who enters the temple will incur the deity's wrath and will be cursed. Considering the fact that he is the god of war, I feel like this might not be the one I want to risk. You know, just in case. I definitely am not trying to get cursed. In our number 3 spot today, we have Lord Ayyappa's temple. This is a temple that doesn't ban all women, but just those from 10 years old to 50 years old. This is another ban that has its roots in myths that surround the deity and the fact that he is celibate. Apparently, the deity thought of women as a distraction from the vow of celibacy, but despite this, this is one rule that might just be on its way out. Apparently, the government has recently become more vocal about favoring the decision to reverse this age restriction and instead allow women of all ages to enter the temple. The conversation has already reached the Supreme Court, which is huge. I totally understand that these decisions, especially these ones that have their roots in faith and religion, should not be taken lightly at all, and of course take time to discuss, but I think it can be appreciated that the conversation is happening at all. In our number 2 spot today, we have Saudi Arabia. Okay, so of course the whole country isn't just men, so you might be wondering why this is on the list, but that is to do with the rules around travel. As a solo woman traveler, it would be extremely difficult to gain entry into the country. Women can be given visas for travel, but all female visitors must be accompanied by a male guardian. I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. Once in the country, women also aren't permitted to drive, and if you're heading there to visit someone's grave, better luck somewhere else because women are also banned from Saudi Arabian cemeteries. So if you're planning a trip anytime soon, there's just a few things to consider beforehand and many more if you're female. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Jain Temple. To end off our list today, we have another temple that doesn't have an outright ban on women, but just a few rules that of course are directed to affect women. Firstly, there's a very strict dress code, which seems fine and well, especially for a religious place, reasonable. But then we get into the more surprising rule, and that is that women who are menstruating are banned from entering the premises. I have a lot of questions about why, although I know it is because that is something that is seen as unclean, which I will not comment on, but my main question is to how exactly that is an enforceable rule. Either way, it is the rule, and unfortunately, I don't make the rules. Despite this being one of the more seemingly absurd rules on this this list, it is good to know in advance if you ever had a plan to visit the temple.
Starting off this countdown, we have Amchitka Island. Located in Alaska, sections of this island are blurred out on Google Maps, and no one really knows why this is. But it may have to do with the nuclear testing that once took place there. From the 1950s to the 1970s, Amchitka Island was the site of US underground nuclear testing. Nowadays, they are running tests to see if the island has any radioactive leakage there. If there isn't, then in 2025 it could become a wildlife reserve. But again, why is half of the island blurred out? Maybe that's the section where the nuclear testing took place. But why is it still blurred? A lot of people think that the military is doing some suspicious illegal activities there and that's why. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments below.
At number 9, we have Area 51 itself. It started off as an urban legend. For those of you who say that urban legends aren't true, Area 51 is one of modern America's most enduring urban legends, and it turns out that it's basically true. Sort of. Area 51 is actually a highly classified remote detachment of Edwards Air Force Base in Nevada. It's officially known as Restricted Area 4808 North. The CIA only confirmed the existence of Area 51 in 2013 when old documents were declassified by the Obama administration. President Obama himself joked about the base in 2013 at the Kennedy Center Honors event at the White House. He said, "I think I just became the first president to ever publicly mention Area 51." While the more tin hat conspiracy areas of the Area 51 legend haven't been officiated, the fact that the public were right about the spot in the first place is a bit of a green light to some of the things said about the space. While it may not have been a test center, current evidence points towards it likely having been a center for the testing of black project weapons and aircraft. Coming in at number 8, we have Independence Day. The United States military fell out with the creators of Independence Day, Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin. Now legend has it they fell out over Area 51. It seems that the military were on board to supply the movie with costumes, planes and props, but they pulled their support when they discovered that Area 51 was mentioned in the movie's script. They warned the movie makers, asking them to remove the reference, but they did not. It seems that the United States government arm were very touchy about it. Coming in at number 7, we have the legend of the moon landing. The old moon landing was fake conspiracy. This is enduring. A lot of people think that the moon landing was filmed in a studio, and many of those think that that studio was in Area 51 in one of its many hangars. Why not? The location is top secret and it has top secret security, so I guess if anything was gonna happen under the radar, it should happen there. It makes more sense than filming it in Hollywood, which is basically a beacon of attention. Although of course I personally don't believe that the moon landings were faked, but if they were gonna be, why not fake them in Area 51? Coming in at number 6, we have the nuclear test site. Is Area 51 radioactive? It seems that the site has been pegged as a possible location for secret nuclear testing. A lot of people believe that the United States government carelessly tested nuclear weapons around Area 51, with some people claiming to have spotted them on Google Maps.
468 pounds. They buried it 635 feet underground, which is 194 meters underground.
Investigative journalist Annie Jacobson uncovered details of Project 57, which she said tested near Area 51 with a disastrously lax cleanup. She claims that alpha-emitting material, so nuclear waste, was buried in the ground, but then spread by earthworms who have polluted the Nevada soil with plutonium. Not good news. Others claim the fallout from the bomb test secretly poisoned the people of East Nevada and West Utah. Coming into number 5, employees swear lifelong oaths of silence. So we are mentioning on this list a few former employees of Area 51 who spoke out about the test center. Now one of those was most notably Bob Lazar, who fueled the alien fire. Lazar mentioned that he was sworn to secrecy. In 2013, a shocking video interview was published in which a very ill former Area 51 employee spoke about his time at the space. This is what he had to say.
In fact, I had to take a vow that I wouldn't tell anybody. A lot of it for 40 years.
In 2013, James Nose, an Area 51 veteran, spoke about his time working there too, claiming that he had to stay silent for 47 years. Although Nose didn't mention any aliens, but perhaps not all employees came across them. Silence at Area 51 was very important, but was silence compliant? Coming into number 4, we have the alien prison. Is Area 51 an alien prison or an alien test center? Well, some people seem to think that actually it's both. Of course, pictures like this are pretty infamous and have been circulated since the Roswell incident. Purportedly, they do show dead aliens at Area 51, but honestly, who knows? 2 former employees and self-confessed whistleblowers have provided shocking details about the alien life at Area 51. Now, almost all of them refer to them as greys. Bob Lazar claimed to have been a scientist at Area 51, and he spoke to Annie Jacobson when she was researching for her book. He is reported to have said that he saw a small grey extraterrestrial being interrogated by men in white lab coats. Another whistleblower, Victor, sensationally appeared on the radio airwaves in 1997 to say that he had witnessed alien interrogation when he worked there. Again, our anonymous friend had something to say on the topic. Have a listen.
We could rock next to it, and you could rock it. The whole thing probably weighed.
Coming into number 3, we have genetically engineered children. Wild urban legends are floating around out there that Area 51 was a site for genetically engineering alien children. It seems that many thought that, yes, science experiments were being conducted on aliens, but beyond that, scientists were actually working to create genetically modified human-alien hybrids. Some even wilder theories say that a whole race of extraterrestrial human hybrids were actually living in communities in Area 51. What has happened to them since the height of the gossip in the 1950s and 60s? We just don't know. Coming into number 2, we have the Extraterrestrial Highway. The Extraterrestrial Highway is a real place. You can go there and take a picture with the sign, if you dare anyway. The road is officially Nevada State Route 375 and stretches by Area 51. It runs 98 miles from State Route 318 to Crystal Springs. The road has been given its name because of the many extraterrestrial sightings that have been made on that stretch of road over the years. Now, is it the road that aliens are drawn to, or are they spilling out from Area 51? Like I said, Area 51 is along the route, and reportedly there used to be a sign that said use of deadly force is authorized. Ooh. So even if the UFOs don't get you if you get too close to Area 51, then the US military might. Whether or not the sightings and legends are true, business is thriving along the route, with many alien-themed businesses like restaurants, diners, inns, and gift shops making a killing out of the extraterrestrial tourism. Finally, coming into number 1, we have the most enduring Area 51 urban legend of them all. We have the Roswell incident and the UFO garage at number 1. You say garage, I say garage, and that's the difference between English and American people. Include that if you will. So what does our friend the anonymous former employee have to say? Let's have a listen, shall we?
And in these garage door openings, they had like different saucer crafts.
Oh, so garages filled with saucers. Well, that kind of cooperates with what Bob Lazar said and reiterates pre-existing urban legends that Area 51 is holding UFOs. But what else does he have to say?
The very first one had the Roswell craft in. It was kind of crashed up, but apparently every alien that was in it died except for a couple.
Right, Roswell. Well, that is the smoking gun, isn't it? So let's backtrack a moment. In 1947, something crashed into a ranch near Roswell in New Mexico. Reports vary on what that actually was, although the official line is that it was a United States Army air balloon. Reports vary on what that actually was, although the official line is that it was a United States Army balloon. The unofficial line was that it was an alien aircraft, and that very alien aircraft was taken to Area 51, the home of alien research and study. Makes sense. Now, millions of people simply didn't buy the air balloon story and believed that the United States military was indeed involved in a massive cover-up. So, the Roswell craft and its inhabitants were taken away to join other alien craft being studied at Area 51, with many people suggesting that actually the United States were trying to reverse engineer alien technology. What did the Roswell UFO look like? Let's hear it.
Well, the Roswell craft was really strange because it looked like real heavy aluminum foil.
So without the Roswell incident, I really don't believe that Area 51 urban legends would be as enduring as they are today.
Starting off this countdown, we have Umoja Village. Located in Kenya, this village was founded in 1990 by a woman named Rebecca Lolosoli. It was created as a safe haven for homeless women, women trying to escape forced marriages, or survivors of violence, etc. The idea came to her while she was in the hospital after being attacked by a group of men. This village is barred off by a fence of thorns to try and prevent men from entering. There are around 27 women and 200 children living at this village. The women that live there still work so they can afford clothes, food, and their shelter. On top of that, their village is open to female tourists with hope that they will come in and buy some of their jewelry. They also charge a fee for anyone that wants to come in.
Number 9. The Paris Catacombs. Why would anywhere in Paris be on this list? I would love to go to Paris. I would just go and eat bread and cheese all day and then start waging war against the mimes. But underneath Paris is the Paris Catacombs, which is housed to about 6 million bodies. If you're wondering why, back in the 16th century, Paris had a problem with an overflow of corpses and needed somewhere to chuck them, so they started to put them in an abandoned quarry. This seems like when my room is too messy and instead of actually cleaning it up, I just throw everything in the closet. It took about 14 years to transfer all the bodies from cemeteries to their new homes under the city. Also, the catacombs were just one part of over 200 miles of passageways under the city. This really makes Paris seem much less romantic. If a bunch of dead bodies weren't enough, then I'm sure you'll be pleased to know that since the catacombs were built, many people have gone missing in there. Oh, some people think it's just accidents, but others believe that there's something lurking in the shadows. Number 8. Hoabachu Forest. Let's go to a forest for a nice picnic and see a bunch of ghosts. Hoabachu Forest is in Romania and is called the most haunted forest in the world. This place is massive. It covers over 250 hectares. Strange things are constantly happening in this place. People say they've seen ghosts, taken pictures with disembodied faces appearing in them, heard voices, giggling. People who enter the forest will also see physical signs of harm, like rashes, cuts, bruises, burns, nausea. The last bit kind of sounds just like allergies. I mean, you are in a forest. Many locals are too afraid to venture into the forest because of the legends. And if you don't believe in ghosts, then what about aliens? There have been several photos of UFOs flying over the forest. Some people have said they've seen floating balls of light appear out of nowhere. There's even an area in the forest where no vegetation will grow. That forms almost a perfect circle. There have been some tests done on this mysterious circle and it shows slightly higher levels of radiation. This could be because a UFO landed there and that's why nothing grows. Ghosts and aliens, pretty good reason to skip this vacation spot. Number 7. Eastern State Penitentiary, Pennsylvania. If just being a house for some of the most dangerous people who ever lived wasn't enough, I'm gonna give you a few more reasons why you would never want to visit this place. The old abandoned Eastern State Penitentiary in Pennsylvania used to be one of the most horrible prisons on earth. Anyone who was sent to this prison would be permanently kept in solitary confinement. You couldn't even make friends. You couldn't talk to people. You couldn't buy cigarettes that were snuck in inside someone's butt. It ruins all the fun of prison. They would go as far as making prisoners wear masks if they were transported from one place to another so no one could see or recognize their faces. As a punishment, some prisoners would be forced to sit in the mad chair, where you'd be strapped down and left there for days without food. Sometimes the straps were fastened so tight that limbs would have to be amputated after because there was no circulation. Since the closure of the prison, there have been 100 reports of ghostly encounters. One from a previous caretaker who said he was grabbed so tight he couldn't move from an unknown force, and then he saw distorted faces appear all over the walls. Number 6. Waverly Hills Sanatorium. Back in 1910, there was a tuberculosis epidemic that was sweeping through America. Hundreds of people were dying every day, so in Louisville, Kentucky, they thought about building a sanctuary where everyone could get better. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Almost everyone who got sent up to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium died. Approximately 63,000 people died up there. When things were at their worst, they said that people were dying almost every hour. They had so many dead bodies that the hospital couldn't get them out fast enough and had to start keeping them in the cold storage unit in the kitchen. Yum! They would keep the ground beef next to the soon-to-be ground beef. Since this lovely getaway's closure, there have been many paranormal investigators that have gone to check out this ghost place, and this place is a ghost goldmine. Not only has there been countless sightings of ghosts, but a reoccurring beast known as the Creeper. It's said to be a man that runs on all fours with no face. Blah. Number 5. Area 51. This is probably the most famous one on the list. Area 51 is of course the top secret American military base in the middle of the desert out in Nevada. If I ever get on a plane to Nevada, it will be for Las Vegas. I'd rather lose my life savings playing blackjack than find out aliens are real and then get killed for it. The thing is, no one really knows what goes on in Area 51, but there have been many leaks. The biggest is that the United States uses the base to keep and test alien technology, and that they have living aliens there which they experiment on. There's even rumors that Area 51 has been compromised by the aliens that were being held there and now control it, shifting the direction of humankind with their newfound power. But like I said, I don't know, and I don't want to know. Next time I'm over in Vegas, the only place you'll find me is putting on 20 pounds at a buffet or singing along at the Britney Spears Vegas show. Number 4. Snake Island. I know there's some guy out there with a ponytail whose nipples probably got hard just at me saying Snake Island. He's probably picking out his favorite sword from his collection to go out on an expedition. Anyway, Snake Island is right off the coast of Sao Paulo, Brazil, and this place lives up to the reputation. There's approximately 1 snake for every square feet of island, and they aren't harmless garden snakes. Most of the snakes on the island are vipers, known for being venomous and having extremely large fangs. Snake Island used to be connected to the mainland and was just a regular old place, but then a flood disconnected it. A large amount of snakes were isolated there and they started thriving. This sounds like an abandoned script for the Anaconda movie with Ice Cube and Jennifer Lopez. Number 3. Seguin Island. Off the coast of Maine is Seguin Island. It's approximately 64 acres and almost completely abandoned. It has some visitors here and there, but there's almost no one who lives on the island. So if you ended up shipwrecked there, or for some reason there's a crazy killer on the island and he wanted to chop you up, then there'd be a good chance that no one would ever find you. But that's not even the creepiest part about this place. It's home to one of the oldest lighthouses in history. No one has lived in this building for quite some time, but it said when people come to visit, there have been many ghostly sightings. Some people say they can hear a little girl's laughter and piano playing. There have also been sightings of a ghostly old man that gets furious because all his furniture is gone. The audacity of some people. You die for 100 years and people just start moving all your stuff out. Number 2. Miyakojima Island. What did Pompeii teach us? Never live around volcanoes. They can blow at any moment and wipe out everyone. Well, it taught us that and what some people choose to do in their final moments.
So there was a famous picture taken by Professor Massimo Osana that shows a man with his right hand above his genital area.
You know what they say, live by the sword, die by the sword. Well, the people of Miyakojima Island must have not got the memo because they all live at the base of a volcano. Every resident who lives on this island must own a gas mask because they're at constant risk of being covered in a gigantic cloud of deadly ash at any time. This is how the island got its nickname, Gas Mask Island. Also, if you make the risky choice to move to the base of an active volcano, you should get used to the sounds of sirens. There are sirens all over the island that will screech out to tell you it's time to put on your gas mask. Number 1. Island of the Dolls. Alright, we're gonna wrap up this list with a place that is dedicated to one of the creepiest things around. Dolls. The Island of the Dolls is located in Mexico, just south of Mexico City. The story behind this American Girl store meets House of a Thousand Corpses is there was a man who lived on this tiny island. One day he found a girl's dead body floating in the river, and not far away from it was a doll which he suspected belonged to the little girl. He then hung the girl's doll from a tree as a way to calm her spirit and continued to do so with every doll he could find. The twisted end to this story is that the man eventually was found dead in a spot not far from the girl's body was found. Number 9. Omayakon. If you're anything like me, you would rather it be plus 40 than minus 40. For any American viewers, we're using metric, so if you don't know what that means, just like Google it, or maybe starting a petition so your entire country changes its metric system. Anyways, Omayakon is the last place you would ever find me. It holds the record for the coldest inhabited city in the world. It falls under the would you rather level of bad. Like, would you rather spend a winter in Omayakon, or would you rather eat one of those McDonald's burgers that's 10 years old? I mean, if you do the burger, at least you could film it and get a bunch of hits on Instagram. Omayakon often sits around negative 72 degrees Celsius, and it is so far north that days can stretch from 3 hours to 21 hours depending on the time of year. It's so cold there, how cold is it? That no crops will grow. The people that live there live off reindeer meat and fish. They have to eat Rudolph up there. It's so cold up there. How cold is it? That one year it broke the public thermometer. It's so cold there. How cold is it? It would make your ex's heart seem like a tropical Disney cruise. So unless you want to lose all your fingers and toes to Jack Frost, I would stay away. Number 8. Murni Diamond Mine. Where should you travel next? How about a giant pit that looks like it goes all the way to the center of hell? The Murni Diamond Mine is one of the largest mines in the world. How large is it? Oh no, we're done with that joke. But this thing is huge. It goes down 1,700 feet and it looks like a dog bowl for Godzilla. If you were to take a wrong step around the edge of this thing, I don't think they would even recover your body. People would just be like, so long, Stumbles. This pit is located in Siberia, and it was once a major form of income for the city. Because this whole lot of hole is so profitable, the people in charge kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper to try and get more out of this thing. Now the pit is so big that it creates downdrafts that will sometimes suck in helicopters and kill the crews. Let me say that again. It eats helicopters. So unless you're looking to pull a massive diamond heist, I would probably steer clear of this one. Number 7. Gulen Refugee Camp. So this is probably the worst situation you could imagine. You're displaced from your home because a massive war broke out in your country. So you have to take your family and run. You and other people running start a refugee camp. Maybe it feels like you're safe. Maybe it feels like even though everything was taken from you, you can finally start something new. The people around you have a similar situation, and together you can rebuild. Then you find out that the place you decided to set up the refugee camp is covered with live mines. The Gulen Refugee Camp was set up to help people who were displaced by the 2014 war in Afghanistan, but the location that was chosen for the camp was previously a battlefield between the Mujahideen and the Soviet forces and is covered with anti-tank and anti-personnel mines. Now this is where the story actually gets a little bit better. Even though there's literally thousands of mines at this location, no one has ever been injured by one, and bomb squads are on patrol disarming bombs every day. Number 6. The Willard Asylum. What is your standard creepy place? We've got haunted house, old basement, windowless van, rundown mansion, decrepit hospital, and of course, insane asylum. Did I just do a list inside of a list? Oh my god, it's listception, whoa! The Willard Asylum was in upstate New York, and it was once one of the largest mental institutions in the country. It was also home to some of the more horrific sides of North America's twisted relationship with mental health. Lobotomies and all sorts of terrifying experiments would take place there all the time. The building is now in ruins, but if you go there it looks like a bomb went off. All sorts of abandoned hospital equipment are everywhere. All sorts of abandoned hospital equipment is everywhere. It's also supposed to be very haunted. So if living horrors weren't enough for you, this place has some dead ones too. Number 5. Linta Vincenta, Italy. I love the city. There's so much to do. Every little interest you can have has a subculture for it. There's a restaurant that sells only mac and cheese just a 15-minute walk from where I live. Stuff like that only exists in a city because you need a certain population to sustain these small aspects of life. And Linta Vicenza, Italy is the exact opposite of that. It is the smallest city in the world, so I hope you're not claustrophobic. This town has a whopping population of 29 people. That's it, not even enough to fill a classroom. Living there would freak me out. everyone would know everything about you, and vice versa. No privacy, every mistake you ever made would be public knowledge. And forget about dating. It would be like, I hope your date with Suzanne goes really good tonight because there's no other options. Also, there's no banks, no pharmacies, and no escape. Well, I'm sure you could leave if you wanted to. I couldn't imagine having a falling out with one of your neighbors. Ugh, it would be one of the worst things ever. I wouldn't be able to go to the East End for the rest of my life. Number 4, the Orpheum Auditorium. An old theater with some major Phantom of the Opera vibes. Who would want to visit this place? Just from a glance, this space looks like it's the setting for some horror movie about some failed mutated theater actor who abducts people and then turns them into half-living dead marionettes and then uses them to put on his own twisted plays no one would pay to see. Actually, that sounds like a good movie. Hey, someone get my agent on the phone. This old rundown auditorium is in Massachusetts, and a little fun fact about this creep fest is the day the construction was finished is the day the Titanic sank. So you know what that means? You got a curse, baby. This place is full of bad mojo. It did stay open until the 1950s, but legend has it that if you visit this place now, you can hear the wails of a failed actor. Oh. Number 3, Exclusion Zone, Pripyat, Ukraine. I'm sure all of you know about the Chernobyl meltdown. If you don't, you should really go to your local library and get out a few books on the subject and educate yourself. It's a very important part of history. I'm just kidding. Libraries are for nerds. Reading is lame. Go watch the 5-part riveting HBO series about it. Eat some unhealthy snacks and leave the book learning for the dorks. Well, now that my PSA on education is over, Pripyat, Ukraine is the radiation zone where the meltdown happened. The radiation levels are still super high. The crazy part about this is people still live there, 130 people to be exact. A bunch of locals forced the government to let them move back into their homes after the nuclear slip-up. They were like, hey, I can't leave now, I just painted. Number 2, Christ of the Abyss. Do giant religious statues give you a strange, uncomfortable feeling? Like they're judging you for all your debauchery? Well, if big sculptures of all of God's chosen ones give you the heebie-jeebies, then you shouldn't go visit Christ of the Abyss. These are 3 massive statues of Jesus that were sunk in the Mediterranean Sea. So if you want to go see them, you have to go underwater. You're not getting anywhere close to these things without some scuba gear, so hopefully you don't have a fear of open water. There might even be a shark or two waiting for you when you get there. Maybe even Shark Jesus. Hold on. Get my agent on the phone, I got another movie idea. Number 1, Agoshima, Japan. A little village of 200 people that is on one of the smallest islands in Japan. It is very isolated, so you can only reach it by helicopter or ferry. So is it the isolation that makes this place so scary? Nope. Is it the very small population? Not even that. Is it the flesh-eating dog-sized spiders that are smart enough to use iPads? No, I just made that up. It's that this cute little town is on the outer wall of a double volcano. I don't even know how you double a volcano. I'm assuming you pour Monster Energy into it. The volcano blew up in 1785, killing half the population on the island, but everyone's like, it's fine. We'll just wait here until it becomes a triple volcano. Wait, get my agent on the phone, I got another idea.